Now here we look at the rotations in GeoGebra. And first thing we want to do is take our quadrilateral and rotate it 90 degrees around point E. So I come to that third to last icon, come to rotate. I'm going to click and drag. I click on my point, and I want to keep it as counterclockwise and change this to 90 degrees. Now, it says look at the ordered pairs. Well, it's kind of hard to think about the ordered pairs without actually seeing what they are. Now, you can see and state, okay, that's 3, 1, so this one is negative 1, 3. But one other thing that I like to do sometimes is I'm going to right-click and highlight everything. And I'm going to right-click on a certain point and do Settings. I'm going to change this to name and value. Now I get a ton of names and values. So I'm just going to remove the labels from the sides here, get them out of the way so that's a little bit cleaner to see. And last one. And now I can look and say, oh, these ordered pairs are a lot easier to view now since I've got the name and the value here. And I've got the other ones listed above. So A was 1, 2, A prime is negative 2, 1. B was 3, 1, here B prime is negative 1, 3. And what I can see as I go to each of them is that the ordered pair, the numbers, the x and y values have swapped places, and then all my x values are negative because I'm in the second quadrant. So when we think about what's going on in a 90-degree rotation about the origin, my ordered pairs are swapping, so the x and y flip places, and then I pay attention to the quadrant for which that point ends up. That's the easiest thing. That way I don't have to think about necessarily that it's negative x comma y for the image of a 90-degree rotation, because that's a little bit more complex. I think about it's going to be swap the y and x, so it's y comma x, and then what quadrant am I in? Let me put the negative in the correct place for that. And that holds even if I move any of these points. So here I'm at 6, 7. The d prime is negative 7, 6. So it swapped my x and y, and I'm in the second quadrant. If I came into the second quadrant, and this is where I was saying about, now when I go 90 degrees from the second quadrant to the third quadrant, I'm at negative 2, 7. So here I'm at 7 and then negative 2. And it's negative 7, negative 2 because I'm in the third quadrant. Both values become negative. So that's how I think through it, is how am I going about when I swap, what quadrant do I end up in with that rotation? So let me take the point back to where it was originally. Now the next question then was to do it for 180 degrees. So again, rotate, I'm going to highlight, and then click on E. Change this now to 180 degrees, and click OK. Now I can see it shows up here at the bottom. I'm going to move my screen up a little bit, and again, I can, if I right click and highlight everything, if I hold Control, another way I can get around some of these things is if I hold the Control button, it keeps everything highlighted, and each item I click goes away, but the Control holds on to those points. So now I can right click on them and go to the label to show the value. Now when I look at the values, I can say, oh, this was 1, 2, this is negative 1, negative 2. D was 2, 5, here D prime is negative 2, negative 5. C was 5, 3, C prime is negative 5, negative 3. D or B was 3, 1, here B prime is negative 3, negative 1. So here's a really nice structure to see that the ordered pairs stay in the same order, x, y, but now gone from quadrant 1 to quadrant 3 where everything is negative. So I know that the 180-degree rotation will keep the ordered pairs in the same order, but it's going to be the opposite signs on both values. And that's because you're changing to the opposite quadrant. So again, I think about, do I swap pairs? I keep them the same. And in this one, 180 degrees, same order, pay attention to your quadrant, and everything's negative in the third quadrant. All right, the last rotation was to look at a 270-degree rotation. So I'm going to highlight, click on the point. I'm going to do 270 degrees. And again, I want to see those actual ordered pairs. I think it'll make it a little bit easier. So I'm going to right click and drag. And again, hold Control. And I can unclick items I don't want. And there they all go away. Oh, I lost the points. So I'm going to click on the points one more time. Right click, Settings, Name and Value. And what I notice here is that the ordered pairs from the 270 degrees are in the same order as the ordered pairs from the 90 degrees. It's just what quadrant am I in? That's how my values change. And part of that is because I've just done a reverse 90-degree rotation is a way to think about it. So the 90-degree and the 270-degree both swap the ordered pairs around so they become y comma x. And then I pay attention to my quadrant. And I know that first quadrant, everything's positive. Second quadrant, the x value is negative. Third quadrant, both values are negative. Fourth quadrant, my y value is negative. So if I just pay attention to those simple things, it helps me, and then I don't have to focus on just a little bit of the detail. Now the last question asks you to compare the 90-degree rotation to the 270-degree rotation. And as we said a minute ago, they have the same ordered pair. It's paying attention to the signs based on the quadrant. And why is that the case? Well, think about from quadrant 1 to quadrant 3, that's a 180-degree rotation, and we kept those ordered pairs. Well, if we go from quadrant 2 to quadrant 4, it's going from a 90 to a 270-degree rotation from the pre-image. If I started with this as my image, my pre-image, then a 180-degree rotation would take me to the quadrant 4 image. So in essence, a 270-degree rotation is the 180-degree rotation of the 90-degree, because 90 plus 180 gives me 270. That's why they have those same order pairs just based on the quadrants.